Hello. I wanted to give you guys a presentation that I give to my students after every exam one each year. So because I teach organic chemistry, I get a lot of pre-medical, pre-dental, pre-vet students. And one of the things that I was finding was that a lot of the students weren't necessarily the most informed about what was required for them to be able to get into medical school, the requirements to get in there, and the grades and background that you need to do in order to be successful with that. And so I went ahead and started putting this presentation together, not as a way to crush dreams or anything else like that, but to just know what the students were up against to get into medical school. Most people don't get it in their first shot. Some do, some don't. With that, but it's incredibly competitive. So I put this together. Because I'm in North Carolina, I'm part of the UNC system. I wanted to focus on North Carolina schools, but I think this is fairly standard for the different medical schools around the country. Stuff like that. So I chose to pick up the stats. So I just wanted to give you the data so that you can see it. So I decided to do Duke, figuring that it's an elite private medical school. The UNC Chapel Hill, which is an elite the in-state school, and then Brody, which is at East Carolina University. It's sort of a very good it's a very good school. But in this particular case, one of the unique things about this is that they only take UNC residents, so it's smaller, still good school, but it is also public, with that. And so these are the three that I'm going to be talking about today. I didn't want to give you all the doom and gloom of just Duke and UNC, but I also wanted to show you the Brody as well, with that. So, but even then, it can be difficult. So just starting out. These are the statistics that I put out. So in a typical year, average Duke and UNC average about 5,000 applicants per year. Brody is a little under 1,000 with that. So again, Brody's only only North Carolina residents, stuff like that. But from those applicants, right, the first gate is to get into the interview stage, and so from there, basically you need to be in either for an elite school, you have to be in the top 10% of the applicants. For a smaller school, it won't be that bad, stuff like that. But it's still, even with Brody, it's going to be only the top half, stuff like that. And so here are the raw numbers. So for that, so if you plan on going to Duke or Harvard or UNC or something like that, or Stanford or wherever, you're going to have to be in the top 10%. So the other thing that you're going to have to deal with, and this is increasingly important because everybody who makes that initial cut is going to have good grades, good references, and things like that. And so what can separate the students are going to be the MCAT scores. And so I know that the numbers, the way that they do the scoring is a little bit different now, but these are the percentile scores. So I figured those aren't going to change no matter what the scaling is. And so the median MCAT score to get into the elite schools you're going to need to be probably in the 90th percentile. But even with Brody, you're going to need to be in the 80th percentile. So with that, your median. Now you can be a little bit below that, but you're going to have to bring something to the table. So you're going to have to shoot for at least the top 25%, if not the top 20 or top 10%, depending on where you want to go. So I just wanted to let you guys know that the MCAT is actually quite important, as if you didn't know this already. Now, as far as median GPA, this is what usually trips up students, stuff like that. But if you're in organic chemistry, you're probably a sophomore, maybe a junior, stuff like that, and so you have time to course correct, stuff like that. So the median GPA for elite schools is probably about 3.8, but even for Brody, you're looking at a 3 in the 3.7 range, stuff like that. So I mean, you can go down to 3.26 for this, but even here 3.5, 3.4, you're going to have to bring quite a bit to the table. Either, you have to either explain things or have a pretty good explanation for this. And you can see this in here. This was another Edward Via. They're associated with Virginia Tech, but they have some schools in the South but they had come in and recruited, and I picked up this this flyer. I scanned it, and it sort of goes through the normal what you would expect for but the important thing is down here. Students with GPA less than 3.2 are rarely accepted, and so if you're at a 3.2, that doesn't mean basically you can assume that you're probably not going to get into medical school, or you're going to have to bring so much else to the table that you're going to have to work incredibly hard. Stuff like that. So again, I'm not trying to crush dreams or anything else like that. If you want to go to medical school, go to medical school. But I just want to let you guys know what you guys are up against. Okay. Now, at the end of the day, how many students actually matriculate into here? And so for someplace like Duke, we had close to 5,000 applicants, and you're looking at about 110-ish students overall. Now for Duke, most of it is this dark blue, which is out-of-state students, a small amount of in-state students, and then international students, or that really dark blue. So for UNC, it's flipped. Most of it's in-state, and then out-of-state, and then international. For Brody, obviously, it's going to only be in-state, stuff like that. But even then, look, so you've got 800 applicants, and you only had, about 80 students coming in at the in the class. UNC is a little bit bigger at maybe 180, so for that out of 5,000, they only take the top. The class is only 180. With 5,000 at Duke, you're looking at 110, 120. But that's how many get in or go. But that and so one of the things that I wanted to do is to say, look, you're going to have to be probably in the top 10%, top 20% in order to be able to think about graduate school, or medical school. I'm assuming that from what I've talked to with dental school and vet school, it's going to be maybe not quite as bad, but it's still going to be difficult to get into. So you need to start hammering away at getting the GPA as high as you can. Getting research is going to be incredibly important. Go talk to your look at people in your department and start doing undergraduate research, particularly in the biomedical field. Although anything is fine with that. So now when you're and also start studying for the NCAT, stuff like that. So I did post if you go into my sort of like about section, there's a Dropbox link, and in there's a slide deck that has all of the a bunch of sort of things that you can use for organic chemistry for the reactions. Now the MCAT has changed slightly in that it is now the organic section is now more geared towards the organic chemistry of biochemistry. It's more biochemistry based, but you're going to need to know how things work. With that, but from understanding, the DAT is more like a traditional sort of like the ACS organic final. So with that, we're going to need to know a lot of that stuff. But in there's going to be a study guide that has a bunch of different materials. It's got a listing of a bunch of different reactions that you can look through, and with that, just as a nice little study guide. Stuff like that. So now, if you get into research and you realize that you do enjoy research, stuff like that, so don't forget that there is the option of graduate school. And so I pulled this up from the UNC Chapel Hill page because it's got a lot of nice information on it, and I know it's a little hard to see, but one of the things that happens with graduate school is not only is it free, okay, so you also get paid. So in this $89.90, so this would have been last year, you get a $28,000 a year salary, you get health insurance, and you get tuition, either in-state or out-of-state. Now you have to pay fees of about $2,000, but this is guaranteed for but all of this is guaranteed for 5 years. So instead of going to medical school and racking up $200,000 in debt, so for that you're actually, plus whatever it takes to actually survive day to day, you are actually going to get a stipend. You're going to go there for free and get a stipend. And this can be anywhere. It's not UNC. It's every major university is going to have a very similar package, and it doesn't really matter. And if you notice, it's either in-state or out-of-state. It doesn't really matter that much about whether you're in-state or out-of-state. So somebody in North Carolina could go to California, and it wouldn't matter. Somebody from Kansas could go to Massachusetts. Somebody from New York City could go to Illinois. It doesn't matter. What's going to matter is, do you are there people that have research that you're interested in? Now, I wouldn't necessarily advise saying I want to work for this particular person, but if there's a couple people in there you enjoy, because you want to make sure that you have it's a good fit, because you're going to be in that lab for 4 to 5 years. And I still talk to a lot of the students that my fellow graduate students, stuff like that. So I still talk to them a lot, stuff like that. And so it's going to be, I did my undergraduate, spent 4 years at a large public university in Indiana, and then went to graduate school in North Carolina at a private school, and spent 5 years there. So you're going to spend a lot of time there in the lab with a lot of people, so you want to make sure. But this is an option. This is a lot of thing that a lot of people don't know, that not only is it free, but you will get paid to do this, to go to graduate school and get a PhD. Some master's programs also do this, although the stipend is not typically is rarely as large. Well, I tell you, it's not going to be as large, something like that. But if you want to get a master's degree and you want to go to the Masters of Science, where you do research, a lot of programs will pay you, something like that. And so there are now, if you are you like research and but you are interested in pursuing a research career, the other thing you can do is an MD PhD program. Those are incredibly difficult to get into, but the nice thing for that is that it's set up more like a PhD program, where you go to medical school and you get paid to do it. It's free and you get paid, stuff like that. Now, it takes 8 years to get through there, but you come out of there with no debt, stuff like that. So I had recently chatted with an MD PhD student who's down in South Carolina, and she's got she's an MD PhD program. She bought a house. Now, it's not a particularly large house, but it was her stipend and the fact that she didn't have any student loans to deal with, that allowed her to go ahead and start building equity inside of a little townhouse, stuff like that. So it's pretty amazing, stuff like that. So it's something to think about for doing graduate school. There's always a need for graduate students, stuff like that, and it is a career that most people don't think about, stuff like that. So I hope this has been beneficial. If you have questions for me, please let me know. So, thank you.